Xbox cannot compete. Let me say that again. Xbox cannot compete. Building great games is not the solution. I'm not making this up. These are the words of the head of Xbox Game Studios. Xbox cannot compete. Let's discuss this further. If you want to hear more about PlayStation stories, leaks, news and rumours, do me a favour guys, hit the subscribe button. Let's look at what Phil Spencer is banging on about. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox Games, recently admitted in an interview with Kind of Funny Games that Xbox is not directly competing with Sony and Nintendo. Spencer acknowledges that while the PS5 is comfortably outselling the Xbox Series X and S in the current generation of consoles, he is still committed to making Xbox something that people who buy their consoles can feel like members of a full ecosystem. Instead of trying to out-console Sony and Nintendo, Xbox is fully committed to finding its own path to potential success. Now, Spencer emphasizes that building great games is not the solution to Microsoft's problems. And I have an issue with that straight away, with that comment. The comment that Phil Spencer makes there, where he says building great games is not the solution to Microsoft's problems. If Xbox made great games, people will play them. If Xbox made great games, people would buy an Xbox or they would subscribe to Game Pass to play the game. When the 360 was making great games, I didn't have to sell my PS2 or the PS3. I have all of them. PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Xbox, the first one, 360, the Series X. I didn't have to sell any, right? Because Xbox was making great games at the 360 time. It was making great games or it had exclusivity on games. So I had PS2, PS3 and the 360. No one is going to sell their PlayStation if Xbox made brilliant exclusive games. Instead, they would sign up to play on Game Pass or they would buy an Xbox Series X. They may start to believe that Xbox can make great games again and may invest in a Series X. Right? There's nothing wrong and nothing stopping people from buying an Xbox or buying into the Xbox platform. There's nothing stopping that from happening. Xbox just need to make great games. The statement from Phil Spencer, the man who's supposed to be leading the company, that if we made great games, it would not result in people coming to the platform, is nonsense. It's ridiculous. He sounds like a man with no belief. Someone who doesn't believe they can compete. What if a coach or a football manager of a team had that attitude? Never mind, lads. Doesn't matter how hard you practice or how hard you try. We're never going to win. There's no point trying. It's pathetic. Phil Spencer should be inspiring his studio heads to be making great games. Games that can be enjoyed in single player mode and then can be enjoyed in a multiplayer or online setting. That should be his challenge to the rest of the Xbox heads. Go out, make some great fucking games that can compete with PlayStation studios. Give the studios creative freedom, but give them milestones, give them targets to aim for, and have effective quality measures in place which ensures games are meeting standards at every stage of development. If we don't reach or achieve a particular level of expectation with our own development, then we do not move to the next stage of development until the current phase is achieved. And this may mean more resource, might have to pay a bit more, bring more developers in, or bring other developers from other studios to help and support the studio reach its milestone. Once we reach the milestone, we move forward. I am digressing a little bit here from what Phil Spencer says, but it's completely counterintuitive and shouldn't be the view held by a leader of so many studios and developers. Anyway, back to the article. Spencer goes on to say, making great games is not the solution as it does not guarantee a win in the console race. Furthermore, the previous console generation was a turning point and players have built up digital libraries which they may be reluctant to leave behind, thus locking them to a specific ecosystem. Xbox has to take a different path with Game Pass as the company's focus. However, with subscriber numbers flatlining and the arrival of Redfall, it's uncertain how much longer that plan will hold. Microsoft has also invested a lot of resource into cloud gaming, but even that side of the business has been used to poke holes in its Activision Blizzard buyout. Spencer suggests that PlayStation and Nintendo are so embedded in the gaming ecosystem that Xbox can't really go toe to toe. And Phil Spencer's comments are bound to raise eyebrows, and it goes even further as he says, there is no world where something like Starfield, if it's an 11 out of 10, it'll lead to people selling their consoles. And again, this is another ridiculous statement. I've said it previously, if Starfield is an 11 out of 10, I'll go out and buy the game. I'm not going to sell my PlayStation, but I'll go out and buy it because I want to play it. I'm a gamer, I play games. The gaming space is massive and can easily accommodate Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, Sega, and any other bloody platform if they made great games. You have to make good games which people want to play. I went out and I purchased an Xbox Series X in April in 2021. I've only used it once, and that was to try Halo out. And it wasn't a nice experience. It's just been sitting there gathering dust. Hardly touched it. If you release Starfield and it's an 11 out of 10, I'll put it back on. I'll subscribe to Game Pass, or I'll buy the game. Most people have invested in a PS5 or an Xbox Series X to play big hitting AAA games. I'm not having a pop at the smaller indie studios or AA game makers, but people don't spend hundreds of pounds on new powerful consoles and headsets and controllers and get heavily invested into an ecosystem to play indie games and AA games, right? They spend all that money to play AAA bangers, great gameplay mechanics, great storytelling, brilliant cinematics, and so on. And in between playing those big hitting AAAs, they'll try out indie games, they'll try out AA games, like I do sometimes on the PS Plus subscription. I'll try out some of the smaller games. You know, I might pick up a Sifu or a Kenna Bridge of Spirits, you know, some of these smaller games that you can complete. For me, it'll probably take a week or two to complete the smaller games. But whilst I'm in the middle of God of War or Horizon or Spider-Man or Death Stranding or the upcoming Final Fantasy, I can go out and play a smaller game. But I didn't buy the PlayStation to play small games. I bought it to play AAA games. Mark my words, most people went out and purchased their console to play big hitting AAA games like Starfield and like Redfall was supposed to be. So if Starfield is an 11 out of 10, people will sign up for Game Pass, or they'll go out and buy a Series X. Phil Spencer needs to manage his studio so they can deliver AAA excellent games. Spencer believes that the idea that if Xbox focus more on great games on its console, it won't win the console race. He needs to stop trying to outsell PS5s. His focus should be making great games, because if the games will sell the console, or if they'll sell some of the console space, but they'll also sell Game Pass subscriptions, right? So Spencer, going back to the article, Spencer goes on to say that Xbox lost the biggest console generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. Thus, Xbox is committed to making Xbox Game Pass the centerpiece of its ecosystem. However, with recent setbacks such as a 30% drop in Xbox hardware revenue, the CMA's decision to block Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition, and the disaster that was Redfall launching into a very, very lukewarm reception, Xbox fans are now questioning the state of Microsoft's console gaming business. The lack of major releases in 2022 has only added to the concerns, with fans wondering when Microsoft is going to deliver a slew of AAA games like we saw in the 360 generation. Spencer is well aware of these concerns and acknowledges that he's upset with himself over the critical response to Redfall's launch. He praises the developers at Arcane, but admits that the team didn't hit their own internal goals when it launched. All eyes are now on Starfield, with Microsoft confirming its release this week. However, Spencer warns that there is no world where even if Starfield is an 11 out of 10, people will not start selling their PS5s. Despite these challenges, Microsoft is committed to finding its own path to potential success within the gaming industry, rather than follow in PlayStation's shadow. Xbox is fully committed to its ecosystem and is looking to expand its offering beyond just consoles. Spencer believes that the future of gaming is in the cloud, and Microsoft has invested heavily in cloud gaming technology, although it is uncertain how much longer the Game Pass plan will hold. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't understand how in any world you can have AAA game development in which today's world would cost anything between 100 to 200 million pounds to make, where you then release that game for free into a subscription service model. Just doesn't work. The model is wrong. The game should be allowed to be sold in an open marketplace for whatever the going rate is, whether it's £50 or £60 or 70, whatever it is. Allow the game to sell, because good games will sell and people will buy it. Okay, you don't get nothing for free in this world. Go out and sell your product. Then once the sales start slowing down, the game goes into sale mode, probably after 12 months or so. Then drop it into a Game Pass or a PS Plus. Drop it into your subscription after 12 to 18 months, and it can remain there for the foreseeable future. And then those people that didn't want to go out and buy the game at full price, they've got a chance now to sign up and stay in the subscription model. And that's how these things work. That's the model which I think works, and Sony PlayStation are proving that that system can work. There are games that are breaking records when they are released. They recoup all their development costs within the first week of sales. The remainder of the sales generated are used to support the development of any DLC content, but in many cases a lot of that DLC content is already made. They just release it a little bit later, and then any other money made from the sales is used to maintain any online elements. Anything else is profit, or it's pumped back into the studio for it to allow it to grow. This works every time for PlayStation Studios. The biggest problem Xbox have is that they don't know how to make AAA games to a high quality. People will talk about Halo and Gears, but yeah, you scratch beneath the surface, it's just the depth isn't there, in my opinion. Xbox has a problem with managing their studio game output, whether it's the quality of the games or the frequency of the games. There are issues everywhere, and after many years of heading up the gaming division at Xbox, I'm not sure if Phil Spencer is the right man for the job. As a PlayStation gamer, I'm worried because we need Xbox to compete with PlayStation. Without healthy competition, complacency will set in, and I don't want PlayStation to be complacent. It needs to compete. So let's hope Xbox and Phil Spencer can turn things around quickly. One thing is for sure, and that Starfield has the whole Xbox brand on its shoulders, and it needs to deliver. It can't afford to be a 7, 8, or even a 10 out of 10. It needs to be 11, it needs to be 12, it needs to knock it out of the park. I think Starfield, like Phil Spencer said, it needs to be 11 out of 10. It needs to be spectacular for the Xbox gamers, and for them to start believing in the brand again. What do you think of these development, guys? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more exciting gaming news and updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.